For as this is a time in the world where so much is coming in, where so much is shifting, transforming, and the energies that are here are becoming stronger and are becoming more set and are an allowance of allowing humans to have this whole other experience of what has been and what will be. And so as all of these things are shifting, as they are all coming in and going out, and an allowance of this newness to come through, it is important for each of you to realize that it's truly about riding the wave of these changes. For those beings that decide that they want to control, that they want to stick in the mud, that they want to be very set in with what is here and how things are coming in, you need to have this knowingness and understanding that all of these things that are happening, all of these shifts that are being made, that it is about not only the ascension of the earth and all of the energies on it and all of the beings and the plants and the animals and all of those things there, but it is also about each of you being able to open up, being able to be as one with these things. And it's about you being able to experience this enlightenment and this opening and this ascension that is happening. Because if you think back to many, many years ago, because if you look back at to what it was 20, 30, 40, or however far back you can think in the human time frame, you know that the earth is very different now. Topics are being talked about. Energy is being talked about. The other races of beings, such as the Palladians or the Octurans or the Greys, all of those things that were not known of before, or were not spoken of before, we should say they were known of, are now coming to the surface for more of the common person to have an understanding of, to speak of, to connect with. And so because that this is open and that more people are an allowance of letting this come through, that the veil, so to speak, is now opening up. It is now allowing for this to be. It is allowing for all of these things to come through and all of them to come in. Now, as you're finding this shift, as you're finding this happening, you will also come to see that as these things are coming in, that there is this place in this moment in time of how do you shift in? How do you recreate what has been there? And how do you truly have this knowingness and this oneness? Because many of you will find, you'll say, well, there's so many things I want to do, but I'm held back. I'm held back because of my job, because of my family, because of my circumstances, because of my health, whatever the reason is for each of you. But is it about you truly setting into where you are? That ability for you to reconnect with where you are, where you're going, and how to become one with that. And that is what you need to know and understand. That it is about you stop trying to control or put it into a box. Because each of you came here with a reason and a purpose. And you chose this time within your lifetimes to come in to incarnate, to experience what is going on. The same way, if you look back within the history of the earth, that there have been many other things that have happened, such as wars, such as changes in circumstance, such as, there's been very cold spells, there's been very hot spells, there's been a shift in what the earth looked like. There's also been other plagues that have come on, and famines, and all of these things that have happened. And those beings that incarnated during that time wanted to experience something within what the earth was able to offer. And now is the same thing being said for each of you, that you wanted to come in and you wanted to experience these things within the energy that the earth is providing, that the universe is showing you, so you can be able to have this and ascend in an even better way. Because those that are around now are an allowance and experiencing this, are ascending themselves in their energy, their vibration, their frequency in a much more different way, in a much faster way than even those that are yet to come in. So you can look at a small baby that was just born and they've already come in with that frequency and vibration, but each one of you came in with a lower one that you're working to expand out. And because that is happening, it is about you are having these shifts and this coming in. So many people say, my beliefs have changed, my programming has changed, my interests have changed. I've decided relationships I'm in aren't serving me anymore, so I have lost friendships, or I've lost acquaintances, or I've decided to split from a partner or a spouse or whatever it is. And that is because that as the whole world is ascending, and shifting, that each one of you are doing it as well. But there's those that maybe aren't doing it at the same rate, aren't doing it in the same way, aren't moving within that, aren't seeing that growth that's happening. And it doesn't mean that it's bad that those have moved in a different direction. It just means that that is truly where it is. That is how these things are coming in, how they are coming together, and how they are truly becoming one and set as one. Because as all of this comes through, as each one of you are having this experience, it is about knowing that you have chosen to come in here, being excited for the time that you have chosen to live, the lifetime you're in, being thankful and grateful for the opportunity and the ability to incarnate at this moment in time. Does this make sense thus far before we move into more specifics about life purpose, contracts, and those things?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. So now as you look at that, and as we've talked about the broader stance of all of this, the next step of coming in is truly to have the understanding that that each one of you came in with a particular reason or purpose, that each one of you decided what skills you were going to come into this lifetime with. So you chose what skills you had, you chose what your path or your purpose was going to be. You also chose your family members. You maybe made decisions about what souls your children were going to be. And you made all of these things set out, and then you decided, yes, I'm going to incarnate. This is what my body is going to look like. This is how it's going to be. And these are all of the things that I want to learn. So you can look at it as a very long list of what you wanted to happen. You kind of wrote the outline of the book, so to speak, that would sit in the Akashic records, that would allow for you to say, this is what's going to happen, this is where it's going to be. So now, as all of that comes in and as all of that shifts in, it is then about you incarnating and coming into the human form as a baby, as all of you did, to come in to have the experience of what it is like to be pushed into that little body and to go, wow, I'm here, I'm ready, and have this experience of learning how to live a human existence. And as you have that, people will say, well, how does my purpose work? How am I looking for? How do I know what it is? Well, we are here to tell you that everyone does have a purpose and a path. Some may be very larger and some may be very grander than others. Some may just be that you are a caretaker or nurturer, and you find in your lifetime that you just want to you take care of people, you take care of your siblings, maybe you babysat as well, then you have children and you take care of them, and then you find yourself in a position where you're taking care of other people. Maybe you're a nurse, maybe you're just there to support each other, maybe you have a friend that needs assistance, and then as you age, you find that that is a common theme in your life. But that could be your purpose, is that you are here to care for others, to support them, to be with them, to allow for that need, because you are there and many people need someone to care for them at times. Maybe you're someone who came in that was wanting to make big changes in the world. So you create and invent something that changes how the humans exist, how they form. You think of all of the new inventions that have happened over the last 200 years, and you think, wow, you went from not having electricity as much and not having all of these different things that have happened, and then now you have, robots and things that are done without even human necessary. You have things that are created that has brought the human race forward in a way, but it's brought it in a way from an invention. So you can think of someone that needed to create that. So those are the two very big extremes of what purpose can be, but everyone comes in with a different reason for it and a different purpose of what is there. And one is not better or worse than another, but it is truly about what your soul wanted to incarnate with, what it wanted to have as part of its lifetime, and what it wanted to experience. And so when you look at that and people say, well, what do I need to do? They want to have the understanding of what their answer is, when they can write down, yes, this is my purpose, this is my reason, this is where I'm at. And so as all of those things are coming in, it is about you having this knowingness and this understanding that there is more to it than that. And that don't worry about the details. Worry about being able to experience it from a human existence, not letting those small things bother you, and enjoying the life that you came here to live, because that is the most important part. Not every soul is able to incarnate on earth. Not every soul can handle incarnating on earth. And not everyone has the ability to come back if they've been here. But each and every one of you had the opportunity. And we love to see it when you embrace it. No matter what your life looks like, if you can always give gratitude for the life that you have within the human form. And be thankful that you have chosen the body you have and that it's doing for you what you need. Even if you say, well, I can't use my legs or I have this ailment, that is an energetic way of showing what you would like to experience. And it's an allowance for all of those things to come in. Does that make sense to you, or any questions on what we've spoken on?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Okay, good. So then you, from the next standpoint, you say, okay, well, I've come in, I'm having these experiences, and as a human, I'm finding that there is shifting, there is changing, there is an allowance of things that are happening to me. And that people will always say, life is hard. And yes, the case is that when you come in with your human experience, life can be hard. There are times where that you have experiences that will cause it to look that way. But it is also about how you take these learnings. For there is this saying that's that we tell people that you can be a very slow learner at times. Because just the same way that a human child can avoid something and they will continue to do the same thing expecting a different result, that will never happen. The same thing can be said for the human in the form and saying you can continue to do the same thing again expecting a different result, that will not happen. You can continue to give and give and give to other people and you find yourself depleted because you're doing so much for others and there's no reciprocation back. And you go, man, every time I meet someone new, I continue to give and give and give, and I just get worn out of the relationship, and then I end up losing another friendship. Well, if it happens multiple times, what are you not seeing for yourself? How is that looking at you in the mirror to say, how do I need to relook at that? That is part, and you'll say, man, life is so hard. But instead you need to say, let me see what the experience is. I give and give and give to all these different people, and then I don't feel it back, and I get worn out, and I get mad, and I get angry at them, and then I walk away. Maybe perhaps you're not setting out your boundaries to say, I meet a new person, they become a friend, I give, and maybe you're not saying, well, I would need something to give back. You continue to call and ask them if they'd like to get together for coffee. You're the one that is always saying, oh, I will support you with this. I will help you with this. I will come over and help you bake cookies today because it sounds like a fun experience. But then you're understanding they're not calling you to say, oh, would you like some assistance, shoveling snow today? Would you like some support in going somewhere, doing something? Or would you just like to come meet me for a cup of coffee and we can chat and we can have a good time? However that looks is up to you. But have you said to them, would you mind helping me today? Would you mind coming and going with me to meet this other person and we can have a really good afternoon? How can you speak and show what it is you need? And that is because there are people and there are humans that want to experience that downness, but it's about how do you shift that and change that into being, how can I live a different life? And so some of you are thinking right now, well, what about the people that lose a child, that have, their house foreclosed on, that have financial issues, that have all of these things that continue to pull them down? How could they ever have wanted to do that? They work very hard. They love their children. They did everything they could for them, but they still have all of these losses in their life. And yes, those are very tragic and difficult things that do happen to people. And so you need to look at, is that an experience they wanted to have? Was that a contract did that child say, I will come in, but I am going to leave very early because you need to experience the loss of a child, and I want to only experience the human form for a short time. Maybe it is that child all of a sudden made the decision they wanted to leave because they said, if I leave, you will let another soul come in and you will have another child. And then they will, but that is not known at a human conscious level, but there's all these different things that can happen. But those people that lose a child that become stronger for it, that say, you know what, they are still with me, they are still a part of me, and I cherish the years I had with them. And there are those that continue to say, they're gone, they're missing, how will I get that back? And that go into that depressed state. Neither one is good or bad or better or worse, but is about how they needed to look at it. But if you can look at everything with love, if you can look at everything as, what am I learning? What am I experiencing? And yes, I may have grief. I may have energies that are coming to me that are more than what I needed or more than where I was at. But as those things happen and as those things shift, it is truly about you knowing and understanding that this is the last time that you may have to experience that in a lifetime. Because if you learn the lesson, if you have these experiences, your soul then leaves the human form when you decide it is time for you to exit and go back into source and leave the human form. And you may go, wow, I had all of those experiences and they look very different than what I thought. And that I'm glad I had those, because in my next lifetime, I want to do something different. Maybe the person that lost the child wants to have a lot of children and wants all of them to have very healthy lives, and they want to feel that exuberance. Maybe that person says, I don't want to have a children in this lifetime because I had lifetimes where I had many, many children, and then I had lifetimes where I lost a child. And so now I want to have one where I don't have children, to see what it is like to not have that sense from a human experiences of passing down that sense of that you have children again, that ancestral, that loving, that nurturing, that caretaking, that mothering, or being a parent to a child. Or maybe they decide to adopt, or whatever it can be. But it is about you knowing that these are experiences. The same way each of you live a day in your life. And every day does look different to some that point. And some of you may say, well, I go to work every day, I come home, I make dinner, I watch TV, and I go to bed. It's the same. But you may watch something different on TV, or you don't watch the exact same episode of what was on TV. You might eat something different. So there's always a small change in each day that you had. You might have worn something different to work. And so if you think about it, when you look back at a week and everything that happened, yes, it may look very similar, but it also may look very different. You may say, oh, well, I had a call from a friend I hadn't spoken to in 20 years, and that was a wonderful experience. Another day you may say, I just read a book and I just sat. Another day you may have met up with a friend. Another day you may have seen your children or family members. But if you can think about each day of a week as an experience, that yes, it might have been slightly up and down, but there wasn't anything huge that happened, or those big things that did happen could be a lot for you, or could be little and were up and down, and maybe it evened out by the end. A soul looks at lifetimes in the same way. They say, oh yeah, there was an up and down, but overall it was great. And when you put that with a mix of thousands and thousands of lifetimes that are there, those ups and downs aren't as big as what we perceive them as humans. But because we can perceive them as humans in this way, it truly allows for more of a knowingness, more of a connection, and more of a placement, that we have those experiences right at the heart and at the core. We're not the observer, we are feeling it. Each part of our being does. Our soul, our heart, our consciousness, our body, all of those things feel it. And that is why each of you have incarnated. And that is how you look at it. Does that make sense, how to see it from a broader perspective than the ups and downs of each moment in time?
Yes.
Okay, good. So now as you're coming into this, you're saying, okay, we understand that there are all of these ups and downs, and we understand there's multiple lifetimes, but when you are here in the human form, it hurts a lot more. That you can say, oh, I can see it from a broader perspective. The same way you can see a friend going through an experience that is very difficult for them. Perhaps they've lost a loved one. And so you say, well, I feel really sorry for them, but it doesn't have that same effect on you. And you can say, but when you are the one that loses a loved one, it really hurts in a much different way. And you feel it down to your core. And that is true, because as a human, you want to feel all of the emotions. And as humans, you're always told, oh, just push it away. Oh, don't worry about it. Oh, men don't cry. Oh, suck it up. It'll be fine. But that is where the energy blocks come in. That is where you hold on to this energy that is not shifting, that you hold in and you don't let it flow out. It's the same way if you lose a loved one, those people that do not cry, do not grieve for them, that just are very stoic in the whole thing, what happens later on? you tend to see that maybe they have something else happen that is pushing them to feel that grief. Maybe they find they have a health condition because they're blocking it. Maybe they have a heart attack because their heart is still so broken, because they haven't let that energy out, because they haven't allowed for that. Whatever it can be, and it could look many different ways, but it is truly about having that experience, feeling that energy, leaning into that energy, and truly letting it shift, truly letting it transform you. There is constant transformation in the earth, in the world, and as things are moving and shifting. And so as all of those things happen, as all of those things come through, it is also about each one of you accepting what happens within your life. Accepting that if you are in true alignment of where you are, if you are in alignment to your path and your purpose and the energies around you, and you're not controlling them, you're not trying to make them what you want them to be and what they should be, and you're enjoying the life that's coming through, all of that will truly be said for you. That you will have this knowingness, this oneness, that you are right where you need to be. And you will accept those difficult times, and you will say, okay, I'm letting that energy flow through. I will grieve, I will heal. And then you're feeling those exuberations, those highs, those moments where you're so excited. Perhaps it is the birth of a new child into your family. Perhaps it is meeting a new friend, or a long lost loved one comes back, or you get the job you've always wanted, or you publish the book that you've been working for years and years on. Whatever it is to each one of you, it is truly about you having that knowingness and that oneness that yes, you are where you need to be. And that as you are doing that, as you are shifting into that, that you can enjoy and you can absorb those highs as well with the lows, because that is what you are able to do. That is what you are able to experience from this lifetime. And when you can do it with openness, when you can allow that to come in and really let the energy flow through, that is when you can experience it in the most open way possible, in the best way possible. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any questions on what we've spoken of or what we've said so far today?
No.
I have a question.
Of
Why
course.
would someone choose a lifetime of abuse?
Because there is a chance that they were perhaps an abuser in another lifetime, so they are now wanting to experience what it was for them. Perhaps they want to feel what it's like to have to become stronger, to become more set in who and what they are. Perhaps they need to overcome it. They need to stand up for them and tell the lifetime of abuse, or tell the people that abuse them that no, this is not right. Perhaps they wanted to experience all of the different ways. Perhaps it was physical abuse, then it could be mental abuse, then it could be emotional abuse. It could all be done in different ways, but it is truly about how they overcome that. A lifetime is about how you overcome what obstacle is put in your way. And you know those people that constantly, especially abuse is a good example because it is so strong and everyone knows and understands it, that as these things are coming in, as these things are happening, that perhaps that they constantly get stuck in this cycle. And maybe it's about breaking the cycle, that they need to be able to stand up and say no, or perhaps they just continue in that cycle and they haven't been able to stand up in strong front of it. And either way, it is about their journey and their experience. And yes, we can give them love and we can give them support, but it's about them knowing that's what it is. If every human on earth had a very happy, joyful, abundant lifetime, where would the learnings come in? Earth is the one planet that provides duality. And you can say, yes, abuse is bad and that it hurts other people. And yes, we would agree with you from a human aspect, that is true. But that also shows if you do not understand what abuse is, or something that is looked at very negatively and is hurtful of others, you then wouldn't truly understand what when someone truly cares for someone, when they take care of them, when they support them, when they love them, when they're there for them. That is the opposite of abuse. And Earth is about showing you duality. It is about seeing what you would call good or bad, right or wrong. We would look at it as it's neither good or bad, right or wrong. It is just showing you two different sides of a coin. It is showing you that there is black and there is light, or white, there is dark and there is light. It is about seeing that if you can't understand the opposite, if you don't see what it is, you won't appreciate what you would consider good as much. You wouldn't see that as a benefit then, and you couldn't absorb that. And so it is about the duality of what is there. There is day and there is night. When you are stuck in night all year, or for many days in a row, which you are in a different spot where the sun doesn't reach during a season, or when you have many days that are very gloomy here where you live, where you don't see the sun, don't you appreciate the sun that much more? And you go, oh my gosh, the sun is out. Thank you. It is a wonderful, beautiful day. I'm so happy to see the sun, to feel the sun. But if you didn't have the gloom, you couldn't appreciate it that much. So does that kind of answer your question on why a soul would decide to choose that, to have that experience? But it's also showing them and everyone around them the duality.
Yeah.
Okay, good. What other questions do you have on it?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
How can you help a loved one who is stoic and has lost a son or a mother, so he's not showing emotions?
And so that is about letting them know it is okay to show emotion. That is something that has been programmed in many, many humans up until this point in time. That they show that they shouldn't show emotions, they should be strong, they should hold it in. But that is to their detriment at times. So it is truly about them being able to say, you being able to say, it is okay to cry. How are you feeling today? What can I do to support you on this journey? What is it that you need? If they're not open to that, showing them joyful experiences. Say, hey, I'm going to bring little 2-year-old nephew around today. We'd like to come visit you. Let him see joy in things. Children are the one people that can show joy for everything that's in front of them. Now, they can be very strong in their beliefs and in their structure, and you go as an adult, well, that's not really right, or I don't know why you're so upset that the chicken is not in the right shape, because chicken is chicken, but oh no, it has to be a certain way in a certain shape and whatever it is. But that is their way of exerting control. But to get back to your question, it is about saying, let's see the joy. Maybe you say, let's go to a funny movie. Let me tell you a funny story. Start to let them see the joy and understand that it is okay to process their grief in a way. Maybe they need to speak to someone, whether it is you or it is someone else. But let them know that it is okay to show emotion. And don't say to them, oh, you'll get through this, it will get better. But say, what can I do to assist you in this, to support you in this? When is there a time where you're feeling light, where you're not remembering the loss, where you're feeling good? And maybe they say, you know, when I drive past a certain restaurant, I always get a smile on my face because my spouse that passed just loved that. And we had many great meals there. You go, that's wonderful. You say, would you like to go there? I'll go with you so you can remember those positive times. And they may tell you yes or no, but you at least know what there is. And then you may say, you know what, I'm going to bring dinner over to you. And you order from there and you bring in what you know they love from that restaurant. And they get a little smile on their face because they're like, I haven't had that since she passed. So you look for those little things that you can support, but no, you cannot change anyone. You cannot make them do what they don't want to do. And when you force, they will just digress. Let them take the lead, but look for those little clues that will allow you to see what they are. And sometimes it is out of each one of your hands as a loved one. And perhaps they do need to speak to someone to allow for them to have a better understanding of where they are, or work on their grief, or work on their anger, whatever it is. But as long as you are there to support them, to be their cheerleader, and to truly just love them, that is ultimately what every soul and being needs. Did that help you in answering your question?
Yes, thank you.
Of course. What else do you have for us today?
Are there other planets that don't have duality?
Duality is very strong on Earth. And yes, just like free will that is on Earth in a very open way, duality is something that is also, when you can look at the different planets and the different places where life can have experiences, they are all very different. But Earth is one of the most difficult planets to get into and to live on. And it is also where you can have the most growth because of the duality, because of the free will, because of the dimension and the energy and the frequency that the Earth is at. All of this shows how it has come through. And all of this shows what is possible for this lifetime and where each of you are at and how you can grow within there. So to answer your question in a very easy way, yes, but that is the longer answer we gave you. Did that help you?
Yeah.
Okay. What else do you have for us today?
Is there such a thing as karma?
Well, of course. Karma is just another word for energy exchange. It is for when you do unto someone else, it can come back to you because you may want to experience that. It is about how you look at things. You can also call it looking at a sense of the law of attraction, like attracts like. And so as you can look at that karma is a way of seeing, okay, I had these experiences. I perhaps did this unto another person. So how can I look at it from a differently? How does that come back onto me? How do I see that in a different way to have that knowingness and that oneness of where I am? And so people will say, oh, well, that will be very bad karma for them. They hurt me, so they will be hurt in another way. And instead of putting that out there that I want them hurt, instead you can say, let them learn an experience that is right for them, but I understand they are on their own journey and I still love them as another being. I still love them as another human, a spiritual being that is incarnating within this human existence. And just let that go back into the universe. And you will come to find that maybe they have an experience that makes them learn a similar lesson or lets them see things in a different way. Because ultimately, no matter how souls come in and incarnate and what they want to do within a lifetime, they truly want to have these experiences, but they want to ascend. They want to learn. They want to grow. And so a soul that you would say has picked up a lot of bad karma in a lifetime may go back and do their life review and go, wow, I need to basically do all of this again. I've got a lot to learn. I didn't really get very far. So no matter what, your guides, your higher self are still pushing for you to have those epiphanies, to have that movement upward. And you will see that more and more as the timeline moves past and as the ascension and the frequency of the world changes, that people want to end things in a positive way, in a positive light. And maybe they feel they cannot do that because of one thing or another. But as all of those things are coming in and as all of this is happening, it truly allows for the knowingness and the oneness to truly be there for all to be had and all to be said. And as that is happening and as that is creating, it allows for beings all around to truly be reset and to then review what they did and to come back in. And so then you will say, well, if I had a very negative lifetime and I wasn't a very kind person, does that mean that I have to do it again or that I have to have the opposite in another lifetime? But perhaps you picked up a lot of energies in that lifetime that then you need to clear, that then you want to work through. And you could look at that as karma as well. So that those lifetimes that you're shifting back around or you're moving or you're realigning will also be said for this is where things are. This is where they're at. And this is how I can reshift, how I can change, and how I can truly be one with what is where and where each of you are. Because when you look at the human body, people will say, oh, since I was a child, I've always had this issue with my ankle and I don't understand why. Or people will say, I continually have a pain right here, but there's no reason. I've never injured it. Perhaps it was an experience you had in another lifetime. Perhaps that you had another lifetime where you broke your ankle and someone hurt your ankle, and so you haven't cleared that energy or that karma, if you want to call it that was created there. But as soon as you can lean into that aspect and understand that energy is there, and you can release that and say, I had this experience, I no longer need to hold it. Your ankle never hurts again. Or perhaps you were somewhere and someone shot you in the leg, and so you constantly had this pain here. And anytime someone mentions a gun or bullets or war, you get very worked up and you get very mad, and you're saying, I don't want to talk about this, and this is terrible. And someone's going, wow, you're very, very worked up about this, and we just mentioned that this was happening. And then as you're talking about it, the pain here is getting stronger. So because you had that experience in a lifetime, you've brought that energy with you, and you know that that is something that is hard for you to embrace and to grasp. And so you need to understand that there are times when these negative things, as you perceive them, do happen, and people wanted to have those experiences. So it's understanding why you were shot, what happened. Perhaps it was an accident, perhaps you were in a war, perhaps there are many other reasons could happen. But it is saying, you know what? Allow that energy to pass. Allow you to not have so much judgment and opinion on guns or on war or on those things or people that are shot, because that this is something that you need to let go of. And then as soon as you can transmute that energy and shift that energy, you find, man, my thigh never hurts anymore. It doesn't bother me. And so that is what growth is. And so yes, karma in a way is there. It's the energy that allows you to continue to ascend, to continue to evolve, to continue to grow. And so you can look at it as just another opportunity to grow and to evolve, because that allows for you that growth. And if we don't, we are like what we talked about first when we first started, is that all humans would kind of stay stagnant, because everything would be good, everything would be happy, everything would be delightful. And then where is the growth there? Where is the experience there? And where is the expansion of the human race? What else do you have for us?
I have a twofold kind of question here. First, when it comes to our life purpose, is it ever too late? And two, I mean, besides dying, of course. And two, do our guides ever get mad at us for not quite being on the best possible path to get to our life's purpose?
So to answer your first question, no. It is never too late to get on your path. And there are many, many people that know their path is like this, and they're doing this, and they're going back, and they're reverting, and they're just jumping all around. And we look and we go, wow, they've been a lot of places, but they really haven't gotten very far. But you know what? That's okay. That was their decision. That was where they are. And the guides and the energies and all of the beings and the masters and angels and even us, we're all trying to support, and we're trying to give boundaries and parameters of how to kind of push you down the road. But there are times where you just turn around and we're like, oh, well, that didn't work out very well, but that's okay. We'll just follow them and come around. And so no, it is never too late to get on your path and your purpose. And when you feel like you're in alignment, when you feel like you're very set in where you are, and you're noticing that you're shifting energy and things aren't hitting you as hard, and you're finding that things make sense to you, and that you truly feel this oneness with who and what you are, when you can truly feel that and can truly sense that, that is when we have this sense that yes, you are where you need to be. Some people don't get on the path until the very end of their life, when they needed to accept caring, and they needed to accept someone to take care of them, and they weren't able to take care of themselves or do anything at all. And they finally have to, because they are at the end of their lifetime, and perhaps they've spent the last 90 years fighting everybody from helping them and supporting them, and they have to now because they can't get out of bed. Then they finally are back on their path, and they're learning what it is they needed to learn. So yes, it can happen many ways, but the point of why we bring up all this information, why we have chosen to work with her and come back to the earth and spread more information, is so that more people can get in alignment to their path earlier. And it's not as like you have to get on it as a child and roll with it. But it may shift. You may say, this is where I want. You may sign additional contracts with other souls or beings, or say, you know what, I'm here, I'm in this predicament, let me pick up this experience or that experience. And that is okay, because that is your soul's free will decision to say, well, you know what, I'm here, let's give this a try. I didn't think I was going to do it, but it seems to be working out, so let me try it. And so we are there for you. All beings are there. And when you say, Are you disappointed? Are you mad that we're not doing, or your guides get upset? Of course not, we don't get mad. There can be some disappointment. There can be, okay, well, I guess we're going to need to look at it this a different way. But the one thing they will never take, and we will never take away, is your free will. So people say, well, why can't I just tap in, hear what I need to hear, know what I need to do, and just do it? Because part of it is about you making the decision of what direction you want to go. Sometimes you need to have that decision come up multiple times before you make the decision to do it. Sometimes you need to make the wrong decision. But when you ask for assistance from anyone who is in the spiritual form, whether it be your guides, your angels, whether it be ascended masters, loved ones who have passed, whether it be us or a different collective, when you ask for help, we will always provide information back to you. We will always give you our best thought on what you should do. That doesn't mean we're going to give you the exact answer, because it could be that you need to make the decision, and we want you to live your life and you to have the human experience. We always want what is best for the soul and for the incarnation and for the experience to ascend and to grow. And so sometimes that means that we can't say as much, or we can't give you as much, or the signs are less. And there's other times where we could put a great big sign in front of you saying, do this with flashing lights. And you go, oh, nice. And then you just walk under it. And we're like, okay, well, that didn't work yet again. Okay, we'll try something else. But it is about you having that ability to change. It is about you embracing what it is that you want. So we don't get mad, we don't get upset. We might get a little disappointed. We might eye roll a little bit, or we might say, okay, well, we'll try this a different way, or let's just see how this works out for them. But no, whenever you ask, we are always there. There is no perfect lifetime. There is not one being who shows up with their purpose, with their path, and does everything they need to do in exactly the right order, and adds more in and takes on more and gets to the end of their life and go, wow, I did it all. It was a breeze. It was beautiful. And I'm ready for the next one. That just isn't, that isn't the human experience. There are too many variables that you could say are out there, that you can take all of these turns. But that is the beauty of the human experience, that you can have all of these different experiences and it's not so laid out. Where in other races and planetary systems, yes, it was a little more laid out because of that. But that is why you've chosen to come to Earth. No new soul that has never had lifetimes before would decide to come here as their first shot. They'd never make it. The energy's just too dense. They just wouldn't do it. But you have souls that have come into Earth that have done many other lifetimes and are coming into Earth now and are going, wow, this was a lot. Wow, why did I decide to do this? And you know those people that are first times, they're kind of, it's spacey. They don't really understand. They don't grasp common sense sometimes, as you would call it. You know, they're very book smart. They're just living these experiences, or they just can't grasp how to exist in life. You know, it can go many different ways, but it is because they said, okay, I'll come in. And some of them will say, never going there again. That was a lot. And there's others that will say, man, that was cool. I want to go back and I want to do it again. But it is all up to that soul, that higher self, and that being to decide what it is it truly wants to do. So we know that was a lot, but did that answer your question for you?
Yes, it did.
Okay, good.